No more joy. Okay? No more of whatever you got going on. You having a good night? Eating some chicky nuggies? Maybe you're dipping them in BBQ? Enjoying a hot and tasty chicken teriyaki sandwich? Well, maybe it was made by everyone's favorite Subway sandwich artist. You know him. You love him. His name is John Doyle. John Doyle has returned for a single upload since Trump has been trumped. Tentacle Alien Man, thanks for gifting one. Dead fellas, you will get the pain. I actually thought of a really funny thing about John Doyle recently, but maybe we'll get to that in a little bit. So John Doyle is still wearing his MAGA hat. He's not willing to give up the grift, even though, well, of course, Joe Biden has destroyed Donald Trump. Lee HCIC, thanks for giving one to Canadian Less Support. Biden did in fact win the election, and every day the vote gets further and further away. We're almost at 7 million. We are almost at 7 million, right? Yeah, 7 million votes. Well, that's a rough one. In fact, the other day, grifters who are terrible grifters, Mythicist Milwaukee, went and in the year of our Lord 2020, periscoped live on Twitch the Milwaukee recounts where Joe Biden ended up getting like 108 more votes or something like that. Donald Trump, you had it right the first time. Hell yeah. Although Trump has lost 5 times so far. He's lost every day since the election, which is beautiful. So John Doyle is probably on Sweet Chicken Teriyaki Watch or whatever the equivalent is at Subway. Alex, no Tander, thanks so much for the tier 3 sub, man. Appreciate you. 69 million vote difference. Nice. Nope, just 9 million. Not even 69 million. Tier 3. So John Doyle is mad, and in all his glory, he decides to make a video on November 19th, which was a couple weeks ago at this point almost. He decided to make a video about AOC. Okay, so I guess we're gonna do some John Doyle today. Here's John Doyle doing some hack off commie. You look at him. Look at him. I hope you wipe that chicken teriyaki sauce off your hands before you did this. It's gonna get sticky on your desk.
Senator Joe Manchin, a Democrat from West Virginia who has represented his state for the last 10 years, tweeted out a very reasonable take a few days ago in response to the calls from his party to defund the police. And he said that he's a proud West Virginia Democrat who wants his party to be the party of working men and women, and that he wants to protect the jobs and health care of Americans, and that his party shouldn't be about some socialist agenda, nor should they ever entertain the idea of defunding the police. And so man to man, I can respect these takes. I would imagine that at the end of the day, we share the same goals despite our partisan or ideological differences. But Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez decided to respond.
Why do they always fail her name? Is it like, you know how when you're very, very Caucasian, the rights are valid masochists who want mommy Alex to step on them? Okay. Did you know, like, is it a phenomenon where, like, if someone with a Spanish sounding name, and you're white like that, like the way John Doyle's white, and I'm pretty white, but like, look at John Doyle. Like, there's an obvious difference between our aesthetics here. He's pretty fucking white. Is it like black pepper is really spicy? Is it that sort of thing? Like, ooh, I don't want McChicken, too spicy for me, makes me sweat. And then like the similar things happen in their mouth where they start saying Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. You can't say it right because it's too spicy in your mouth because you're too Caucasian and racist. I think that might be it. I think it's whiteness. I think it's whiteness that gets in the way, and that's okay. That's okay, John.
to this with a picture of herself pouting and glaring at Joe Manchin, and it got over 500,000 likes on Twitter. And politically speaking, Joe Manchin is actually helping the Democrats, but AOC is a woman whose maturation seems to have capped at about 15, so she can't really recognize that because she
John very clearly stayed in the "I'm smarter than everyone" phase of puberty. Well, he hasn't finished puberty yet. We don't know what that looks like. So apparently, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, AOC, she's a woman. So, well, obviously.
She wants to have an epic clapback moment on Twitter so that she can siphon dopamine via the approval of lonely women and pathetic men. And I'm not saying that women don't belong in politics, by the way. I would never say that, ever. And if I catch you saying, "Oh, I'm gonna punch you in the mouth with my fists," 1,920 times. Maybe even if you're a woman too, so that you know your place, which is in politics.
So many hate boners for AOC, yeah. Wow. Alex, thanks. I'm gonna put a sign on my window that says Trump fucking lost for my neighbors. I know, right?
We're kidding around. That's a joke. We do a little trolling. It's called We Do a Little Trolling. Of course, women belong in politics. It's estrogen that's the problem. That explains all the weak, effeminate men, too. It's the iron law of politics. But that being said, we have to go over the Civil War in the Democratic Party, why it's happening, what it means for the future of their party and for the future of our country, because it would seem that they are now trying to use their power and influence that they've amassed. I can't believe I said that. Throughout the last several decades to finally execute their agenda.
John is in full coat mode, dude. Okay. John's upload schedule prior to this was multiple times per week, okay? John's upload schedule post Donald Trump losing the election terribly has been 1.5 videos. Maybe he got some extra shifts. Maybe it's the holidays, and Subway is like, you know what? If you take any more shifts off, buddy, you know we're gonna pick Kelly over you for key holder manager in the mornings, and we know how much psychologically you being a key holder at Subway means to you. And look, Kelly's better at baking the bread. She's just better at baking the bread. But we were gonna give you a chance, John. We were going to give you a chance, but you're putting too much time, way too much time into being a chud. Way too much time.
Without breaking and without compromise, all with the help of the brainwashed masses. And even despite the comparison.
CG Oracle, thanks for the 8 months. Hell yeah, and you passed the bar? Fuck yeah. Dame Aya, thanks for the prime for the 13 months.
Relatively moderate members still in their party whose days are likely numbered, so do stay tuned.
Oh yeah, I forgot he has an intro. Isn't it cringe? Why is it cringe?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Heck Off Commie. Sorry to keep you waiting, folks. Complicated business, complicated business.
He doesn't have complicated business, guys.
Apologize yet again for the delay. We've been traveling. We've been rallying people to see what the hell is going on with the election. We've been in Twitter jail. We were at the Million MAGA March. Met so many beautiful people, so many tremendous people. And that really seems to be the motif in any sort of conflict or struggle, whether it's a political battle, a cultural battle, even a military battle. It seems that the highlight is always the people that you meet along the way and with whom you fight alongside. So that's always very special. So shout out to everyone I met this weekend. Shout out JJ. Shout out Laugh Track. All the boys in the Hawk Squad. The HOC Expanded Universe. It was epic. During the actual march, we had like this mob of 25 high energy, high IQ people. We were mobbing around, keeping the energy high. It was epic. That was probably the best part.
This is so fucking cringy. We had probably 25 people show up to our thing. I don't know how to tell you. 25 fucking people, my dude. That is not a good show out. That is not very good. For a guy with what do you got? 200,000 subscribers, 276,000 subscribers. 25 people showed up for you? I don't know, man. This is pretty fucking cringy. This is pretty incredibly cringy. Hannah and I once sold out an auditorium. Our monthly furry bowling meetup has like 200 people show up. Exactly. 25 people is not 1 million people. I didn't realize that John was that bad at math.
Second best part was that I almost fought this Antifa guy, which was also epic. And I have to say, I'm against fighting. I'm against violence. I disavow that. But there's something about conflict that just excites you as a man. And so basically, the morning of the march,
John Doyle would get his ass whooped.
we were walking there.
Come on,
it was
man.
me, cameraman Badan, Red Eagle Politics, and the head admin of our Discord server. And so we've all got the MAGA hats on because it never comes off. And we're just walking, minding our own business, taking our time, talking to each other, whatever. And so we get to this intersection and we're waiting to cross. And on the opposite side of the intersection, there's this group of like middle-aged women, a few of them. They've all got their Trump gear. They've got their Trump flags. And so we see them and they immediately like call over to us like, hey, this guy's following us. He's stalking us. And so I look and I see this Antifa guy LARPing in black bloc. He's got his face covered and he's just standing very close to these women without saying anything. And so we started crossing the street. And we're going to their side.
This is fucking cringy, dude.
And they're coming to our side. And sure enough, this guy's just following them.
I'd pay so many go-gurts to watch John fight that dude in a basketball court during lunch hour.
In case you don't know, what these people will do is they'll get all dressed up and they try to intimidate Trump supporters or dox them or sometimes even attack them while coordinating with other people in their group. It's literally weaponized LARPing. But anyways, as we're getting closer,
You just said the MAGA hat never comes off and you wear a suit. There's nothing more weaponized or LARPy than what you do. What? What are you talking about? This is so weird, man. It's so weird. I'm so embarrassed for John. John got kicked off of Twitter for doxing. What are you talking about, John? You literally got banned for doxing, dude. Oh, he's so dumb. He's so... I fucking hate John, man. Oh, okay. All right.
we're passing each other. I started like yelling at him, like, hey, there's police over there if you want to go talk to them, which by the way was sort of true. Like there was a police car set up to block the street, but I didn't see any actual police officers. And so then I was like, bro, I'm literally cringing at you right now. Like you are LARPing. You are pathetic. Don't you have anything else better to do? And so they get to
John Doyle went up to intimidate with his manliness, and he goes, bro, I'm literally cringing right now. Jonathan Doyle. We need a better version of John Doyle. I'm going to be it. I'm going to be a better version of John Doyle. Hold on 1 second. Ignore the noises in the background. I'm going to be a better version of John. You already know it's going to happen, okay? Hold on. I need a wardrobe change. Okay. Almost complete here. All right. Okay. This is way better. Way better, John Doyle. You ready for this? Hello and welcome to the show. Everyone's favorite leftist, John Doyle. If John Doyle was just from Europe, he'd be funny. Hello, I am Jan. Welcome to the show. You are valid. Would you like to try? I have some blue raspberry bonbons. They're not very good. I only had 2, but I have extra I will share. Hello. Hello, puppy. Welcome to the Heck Off, Hell Yeah Commie Show with Jan Doyle. Come here, puppy. Come here, puppy. Well, we have puppies. and leftist activities with me, your host, Jan Doyle. You're a puppy. Go enjoy puppy life. Go on, enjoy puppy life. Yes. Hello, everyone. It is me, Jan Doyle. So, I was going to the MAGA March on accident. I was actually trying to go to Whole Foods to get some plant-based rigatoni sauce. And I ran across a lady who was talking to an Antifa. And she had a MAGA hat on. And I said, "Hey, lady. Nice hat." And then I walked away. I'm not good with confrontation. I am Jan Doyle. I hate and love you right now. Oh, no. Anyway, so let's continue with Jan.
To the other side of the street, and then the women like turned to cross again, and this guy sort of like broke off from them and kept walking. And so I yelled, "Yeah, get the f*** out of here!" And then he looked back and he started kind of walking towards us, and so I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." So I started walking towards him, and then he turned his back, and then he kept walking away, which was cool but also disappointing. I kept yelling at him though as he walked away, because we need to demoralize these people and get them to recognize themselves for the pathetic cowards that they are.
John, this is your friend Jan Doyle. John, it is not cool to yell at people for no reason. They were just doing the thing that you are doing on the opposite side of the thing that you are doing. It is the First Amendment. It is okay to do the thing. They were standing there next to some ladies. You were standing there next to some ladies. They don't have a red hat. You have a red hat. It's okay. Let's all just vibe, you know? You ever listen to Macarena? You ever listen to Macarena? How you be sad when you listen to Macarena? 1, Maca 2, Maca 3. I don't know the moves. Macarena? We could just do the Macarena together and vibe, but instead you have to do this heck of commie bullshit. Nobody likes this. And by the way, my good friend Actual Jack, you block him after he beat you in debate. It's not good look. You still remember the words to Macarena? It only has like one word in it. Macarena. Macarena. Isn't that it? Anyway.
That's really why I got involved. Like, yeah, part of it was because he was harassing our women for Trump, our moms for Trump. We love our 7%ers, but mostly it was just because I wanted the conflict. So that was fun. There was also something very poetic about walking through downtown DC, wearing MAGA hats and being literally screamed at by these DC city rats from the balconies of their $4,000 a month apartments. Like, we're walking around, 4 young guys, all grew up in the Midwest.
I thought it was 25. It is now only 4 men? That is not enough men for Jan.
All grew up middle class, and we just want to make our country great again by liberating it from corruption. And not coincidentally, the people in Washington, D.C., a city that went 93-4 for Biden, they had a big problem with that. And it's
liberating from corruption. John, you're a Christian nationalist. It's like the most corrupt you can get. Christian nationalists are bad people. You want to ban things that people have for their freedom. Why would you want to ban people's freedoms, John? That's not a good look, John. You don't want to do that. I'm telling you, you take porn away from these people, they're going to fucking riot on you. Why in the world would you think that you are doing a good thing when you want to take people's freedoms to be whoever they are away from them? And not just porn. You don't want people to be able to identify as anything you think they aren't. It has to pass John Doyle's ocular pat down or it's not valid. That's really what you want? That's how you want to live your fucking life, dude? No fucking wonder they're passing you over for key holder at Subway. You're trash. I agree. Be more like Jan, not like John.
It's because they're out of touch. They're self-righteous and they are incredibly pretentious. These are the worst people in the country. They are parasites. that actually transitions nicely into what we're talking about, because the Democratic Party has always been home to the liberal elites, but they used to feel a sense of responsibility actually towards the working class, perhaps
liberal elites.
misguided, since judging by many of their policies, it would seem that they were more concerned with appearing to want to help the working class rather than actually helping the working class. But the point is that their party has now evolved to resent the working class, specifically the white working class, which historically has been the backbone of their party.
I don't know about this, John. When we talk about supporting the working class, me, young Doyle, I like to think of maybe doing things like raising minimum wage, giving access to healthcare, making sure that people have access to education and safety, and making sure that if everything goes bad, maybe they get hurt or they get sick, they still have access to shelter and food and water and internet and all those things. You kind of just want to help these people by... I actually can't recall how you want to help them, John. I don't know. I think Johann Doyle. I do not. I don't think we are getting along very much, my friend. We share a last name, but I'm not sure.
And it has now reached a point where they resent the white working class because they view them as uncultured. They view them as uneducated. They view their ties to God, community, and country as archaic.
John, I'm a European man, of course. My name is Johann Doyle, and I think maybe you misunderstand when we say things like separation church and state. We say things like, we want access to education. It does not mean you're not smart. It means maybe you did not have opportunity to go to get education. I want you to have opportunity to get education. If you don't have education, it is fine. It is fine if you do not pursue such a thing. You can do anything you want and be happy. If you want to be in a coal mine, I want you to be in the coal mine because that is where you deserve to be, because that's where you want to be, okay? Put every day into coal mine and you wake up with black lung and you cough and that is what you want to do with life, that is fine with me. But if you continue and you say, hey, you have to be Christian to be here, that is not the same thing as saying that you respect someone's religion. That is saying that you only respect your own religion. I'm not sure that's the way to be. But I am much nicer than my friend Actual Jake. I am much nicer than you. I think I kind of like you, John. I think we could get together. You're not bad looking either. I wouldn't mind stepping on you.
As outdated, but they don't extend the same feelings towards minorities in the working class because according to them, the reason that minorities are even in the working class in the first place is because of white people and the systems of white supremacy that they've constructed. And I'm not terribly familiar with Joe Manchin's voting record. I know that he's basically a moderate Democrat, especially when compared to his new constituents. But there is a reason that he's been representing West Virginia, a state that Donald Trump won by 42 points in 2016 for the last 10 years, even as a Democrat. And that reason is that the reasons that West Virginia has voted one way or the other have effectively stayed the same. They're basically crystallized. And it is the parties that have changed independently of that. And I'm not an expert on politics in West Virginia. That's a different John Doyle. But I still think that it could be accurately summarized by two things: Jesus and coal. And when the Democrats were on some, workers are epic, Jesus is epic, and Republicans were on some, no, big business is epic, and Jesus is epic, but not as epic as sending our kids to die in the sand so girls in the Middle East can eventually learn about gender theory, West Virginia was like, okay, gamers, let's go blue. But then, as the ideas of liberalism...
Sorry, when I look at this, does John Doyle think that West Virginia like Bill Clinton? Meaning John Doyle like Bill Clinton? I don't know how epic Jesus is.
Good call, baby bird. Good call.
So Parker Posey, thanks so much for gifting sub to yourself, so that my friend Actual Jake can eat food while I do all the work for him. Who the fuck is John Doyle? Oh, John Doyle. John Doyle, this man is best worker, Detroit suburban area Subway in all of land. You cannot get a better sandwich made at Subway than one from John Doyle. Why do you think I am rather plump? John Doyle make Jan Doyle very, very large. Chicken teriyaki. Too many calories, you ask me.
Have progressed and evolved as would have been logically expected. Now Democrats are on some, yo, fossil fuels are cringe, you're a redneck, Jesus is fake because my atheist professor absolutely blew my pea mind with the problem of evil, you're uncultured and also racist.
Gun, it is okay if you have religion, that is fine. But it is not okay to try to boost religion on other people, and also, it is a little... I try to be nice to John Doyle. I come from nice place. You believe in Jesus Christ? You believe? I try not to be mean. I know that you make good sandwich, but you know. It's a tiny bit cringy. It's a tiny bit. But that's okay. That's okay. You can do what you want.
So West Virginia has no choice but to be like, okay, gamers, not very epic. So they've been voting strongly red for like 20 years. And they will continue to vote strongly red as the new Republican Party cements itself as the party of the working class, the party of American families, and the party of recognizing and preserving all that makes America great. It's really easy to win elections. All you have to do is be socially conservative and support free markets through a moral lens.
I hope, as a person who likes his LGBTQ friends, and he likes his friends from other countries. As you can see, I am Johan, and so I am from other place. And I don't want to speak for my employer, Actual Jake, who beats me with a cane if I do not do a good job. But he also likes people from other places, and he likes exotic things. And he bought this wine, actually. He got this wine. It is delicious. I'll drink a little bit of it. Just the hair got in my wine. It's okay. Thank you, Fu Manchu, for subscribing to Actual Jake, who will not beat me as bad if you continue to do so. I appreciate it. But I don't think John Doyle that being socially conservative is necessarily winning you a lot of elections, considering the vast majority of people that were allowed to vote for the first time this year, like 7 million new people in America, lean heavily left, and they're also learning about themselves as far as gender, and we're kind of tearing down the idea of what gender even is, and you are very against these things, and everyone just wants to vibe and like be whoever they are, man. And when you go like, no, you can't do that, you have to wear pants, or you have to be lady and wear dress, I don't know if anybody wants to do that. I don't really think it's a very popular opinion. It's a little bit popular in West Virginia, where they go down in coal mines and have black lungs, but that's okay. They get to have black lung down there. They could do that. But maybe they could also wear a dress and be pretty good while they have black lung. I don't know.
Which effectively means lemonade stands, yes. Mass marketing drugs to disillusion Americans to profit off their addiction, no. Designing algorithms to get 11-year-old boys addicted to pornography to profit off ad revenue. Face the wall. That's a joke. That's a joke, but if you do that, you'll win 70% of the vote. That
is not true. That's not true. Antipodian Squid, thanks so much for gifting 5 subs to Actual Jake channel of the Twitch TV. Actual Jake, Pod Spoken Skiz, Dusty Your Mom Friend, and Belly Button Cotton Candy, which is what I call it when I dig in my belly button as well.
Good call, baby bird. Good call.
That's how we win, by the way. Like, that's the path forward for conservatives in America. A lot of people like to disagree with that, so they can collect a $15,000 speaking fee for reciting the same Cold War talking points to an audience of baby boomers who still think that the left will just figure it out once they start paying taxes. But it's true. We're correct, and the Republican establishment is corrupt. But the good news is that we're not going anywhere anytime soon. We're still here, and you're going to listen to us and submit to our will, because we're done just passively reflecting like, oh,
I don't know if Americans will have to submit to your will. It looks as though you're not very popular. One of the most lame candidates you could have pushed out on the left got 306 electoral votes and did not have a very charged base and beat your candidate by 7 million votes and counting. It doesn't seem to me that you have a very strong base. It seems to me what you had was a sort of a situation in 2016 where they put the only person worse than Joe Biden that I can think of is probably Hillary Clinton. And don't get me wrong, I am trying to be nice to everybody, but I don't really think that you are very popular necessarily. You are popular in places where they have black lung, true, but you are not popular in places where they have black skin, and that is very different because more people have black skin than black lung, and it is strange to say, but did you know that being a minority individual in the United States is not necessarily a great thing because of people that follow the Donald Trump? You know? Let's just say, I think maybe you should consider the fact that you are very close to losing Texas, you are very close to losing Louisiana and Mississippi. If all they do is tell black people, hey, we will enfranchise you and allow you to vote in an easier way, you are never going to win an election again, and I don't know what to tell you. Alex, you had a porn addiction from being a devout Christian for 17 years of life? Don't rub your pee-pee off. It is not healthy to rub pee-pee off. You could rub pee-pee just a little bit. Not rub it too much, or you get calluses on side of pee-pee. You don't want to do that. Pee-pee calluses are painful.
oh yeah, I suppose it would be nice if we can serve.
Is who Norwegian or Italian? I am just Johan. I am a man of all places.
Serve the country for our children. Oh, well, no. We're changing the psychology to one of victory. And as a matter of fact, we will tread on you because the stakes are too high for us to keep pretending that we can all just agree to maintain a power vacuum. No, we've tried that for 70 years. Look where we are now. We've been on the back foot for literally generations now, to a point where we are now defending the legitimacy of there only being two genders, but you think that we can just employ the same psychology, the same talking points, the same Ronald Reagan nostalgia? No.
Well, John, I'm sorry to say, there are more than two genders, whether you like it or not, because people express themselves in different ways. And you're just going to have to deal with that because that is the freedoms that we are offered by the Constitution. Not me, of course, but people like Actual Jack and people like his fans. And you as well, John. You could wear a pretty dress and just be fine. You could still be man. But you could also show off those legs. It'd be fine. You do not have to follow the gender expectations that you grew up with. It is okay to not wear a suit. If you also feel comfortable in suit, that's great. I'm not saying that you look good or bad in suit, but if I were you, I would wear pretty dress and not suit. But I'm just saying, you have the hips of a woman. But that's okay. Johan has long hair in his man. True, CJ Oracle. Johan has pretty hair. I would not look good in dress. You do not want to see my bulge.
No. Things have changed, and we will adapt because otherwise we will be finished. And very broadly speaking, this is basically what the Civil War in the Republican Party is going to be about. We're already fighting it right now to a certain extent, with Donald Trump being the catalyst. And, you can see how quick the GOP establishment has been to throw him under the bus because they never wanted him there in the first place.
I don't know if he was thrown under bus. I think he just lost the election by 7 million votes and 74 electoral votes. Yeah, 84. I don't know how to do the math. It's a lot of votes though. It's a whole bunch. I don't really think it's 74. Yeah, I don't know. This seems as a non-American, this seems like a pretty how do you say? Donald Trump is bitch to Joe Biden. Is that how you say? I'm pretty sure that's how I say.
And, we've been talking about this conservative civil war for the last few months on the channel. So don't think it's just the Democrats, because it's us too, and ours is likely going to be more consequential for the trajectory of the country. But I do want to note a few things about what's going on with the left right now. So back to what we were talking about originally with that Twitter exchange between Joe Manchin and AOC. Politically speaking, Joe Manchin is actually helping the Democrats because he's casting a wide net. He's speaking in ways that would appeal to the average American. But since AOC is operatively a 15-year-old girl who's read The New Jim Crow and maybe a little bit of Howard Zinn, she has to have her clapback moment on Twitter. So she gets herself trending. Everyone thinks she's so epic and funny and relatable. Yes, queen, whatever. As cringe and petty as that reaction may have been, it's actually good for us in a way, because even though she's very influential, she's good at aggrandizing parts of the Democratic base, she herself is inherently polarizing to people in her party and people who have likely been in her party long before her.
This is a weird way to describe someone who is immensely popular. Strange. It's okay, Johan. Your maths is much better than John's. You understand there's great variance between 425 and 1 million. True! I do believe in
who aren't exactly
maths.
in favor of the direction that it's taken for the last decade or so. And so while that direction is alarming, it provides an opening for us, and not an opening in the way you might think. A lot of people see stuff like this. They see liberals who claim to be leaving the left, or they'll see Joe Manchin declare that defunding the police probably isn't a good idea. And they're like, based? Joe Manchin is based? He's one of us now? And it's like, no, he's not. He's still a liberal Democrat. Nothing is more emblematic of the leftward paradigm shift in this country than the fact that the right is now embracing these figures as though it's a victory for them. Like, oh yeah, we've got this transgender atheist feminist who sells psychedelic drugs to teenagers, but she thinks that guns are cool and taxes should be marginally lower, which means she's on our side and we're winning. Like,
I am not a big fan of how John Doyle talk about our transgender brothers and sisters and envy pals. I am not very happy with this. I don't know how you feel about, but there's nothing wrong with being who you are. Okay? I think he is jealous of pretty dress. I think you should try. Dexter, you have to calm down. You cannot just kiss all of the ladies. You must chill. Pretend you've been there before. Johan will guide you. Good wingman.
what does that say about the coalition? Like us as a coalition, we're now absorbing these types of people simply because there's an overlap on one or two issues. And I'm not saying that we can't have a big tent movement, but you can't be a liberal and be a conservative. That's just not how that works. Not literally, not philosophically, politically. It just doesn't work that way.
Oh, John has tiny brain.
Just because you reject aspects of leftism, which is the natural and logical progression of liberalism, doesn't mean that you are all of a sudden able to come tell conservatives that we need to adjust our beliefs to accommodate you. If you want to vote for our guys, great. But don't come over here trying to change our side because you're too ignorant to realize that your side didn't, just get a little bit out of control, but rather they evolved in exactly the ways that we predicted for decades. And if we let you corrupt our side with your ideas, then we're just going to have nothing left. So no thanks.
Apparently, John Doyle thinks that in the 1950s, they predicted that all the gender is a social construct. Interesting. Very interesting. Well, I think it is time for me to go. I have had good time, but I took a sip of this wine and I am now schnitzeled, as they say. I am more schnitzeled than I've ever been. So, next time, Johan will come back and we will talk about love, we will talk about validity, and we will talk about my favorite thing of all time, meat pies. So, please enjoy. I hope I do not get beaten too much. I hope you have subscribed enough, otherwise my back is going to be very, very hurt, and I will have many injuries, but I will heal over time. Please be kind to actual Jake. He hurt me a lot. He hurt me so much. Please. You done, bitch? Yes? You making money? you make? I don't know, $5, $6? What am I supposed to do with that shit? I gotta take a dump. Can't even buy toilet paper to take a shit anymore. Piece of shit. Fucking Johan. No fucking more meat pies. You look ridiculous. You are looking ridiculous. You should feel bad. Sometimes you just gotta do it yourself sometimes. You just gotta do it yourself sometimes.
Conservatives can't expect to conserve America if they can't even conserve conservatism. That's it. Like, that's all. The path forward for conservatives isn't to emulate the left. It's to exploit the weaknesses of the left to assert itself. I'll explain what I mean by that in a second. But Joe Manchin, AOC, that's the conflict that we're seeing in the Democratic Party, roughly speaking. And what's going to happen is that AOC will win that battle, but will ultimately lose the war for the future of our country. It would actually be better for the Democrats to reject the woke mob, the perpetually evolving progressivism, the cultural entropy, all of it. But they won't do that because they can't anymore, because they don't know any better. Think about it. Remember about 10 years...
Okay. Never in the history of the world has conservatism won the moral zeitgeist long term. It's never done that. It's literally never won. What continues to win is people having more personal freedoms. That's what continues to win. The big rub here seems to be, he keeps talking about the woke mob. He keeps talking about LGBTQ people, especially trans individuals. He continues to talk this bullshit. And it's like, you can't tell people not to be who they are and win elections. You can't stand there in the face of someone who goes, I identify as a woman, but I have a beard. And then you go, no, you don't. You're not going to win that person over. They're who they are, regardless of your input, John. Like, that's just so weird to be like, we can win this one long term. We just stop letting people believe they can choose who the fuck they are. It's inevitable. It's never good. You cannot stop it. You can't. The only way for the right to ever win is to be just on the cusp of what is allowable, conservatively speaking. What is not... I mean, the reason you can tell conservatism never wins? John Doyle, are we still burning fucking witches, bro? Is that a thing? Are we doing crusades? Are we going through the fucking Inquisition? Are we seeing who's heretical? Are we casting atheists into the sea? Are we killing the gays? Do you think we ought to kill the gays? That's an interesting question for John. Do you think that we ought to put gays to death? I wonder how conservative he gets. How conservative is too conservative for John Doyle? Because I guarantee he has a limit. Like, is interracial marriage allowed? Yeah. Is America a British colony? Well, no, not that conservative. Okay, so we have to stop before the 1700s. Well, the late 1700s. 1776. More like 86, really. But
years ago, when we had the Occupy Wall Street movement, that was fun, right? A little bit more mild than what we see now. And so maybe we disagree with the reasons for that movement, but in case you're not familiar, they were basically protesting en masse against wealth inequality and corporate influence in government.
okay.
Now, there's some really interesting material out there, literally about the psychology of a protest, and I'd love to get into that at a later time. But what I'll say now is that much of what compels people to take to the streets like that is less about the cause and more about their spiritual investment in that cause. And that's important because it means that as long as you can capture...
What was this spiritual investment shit? Do you know why that person was screaming? Because they knew they understood, as a lot of other people understood, Donald Trump is bad for the country. Donald Trump has been bad for the country. He remains bad for the country. He's not a good person. He's not been a good president. You can tell because he lost terribly as the incumbent. It's not because you're silently getting ripped off. It's because you're out loud getting revoked. Fun fact, the Inquisition still exists and is called Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith. Well, sure, but I'm just saying, like, does he agree with that? Maybe he does.
Someone's spiritual investment through a mixture of manufactured despair and propaganda, you can apply their energy wherever you'd like, regardless of the cause, basically. And so I'm sure that a lot of people protesting were very aware of the negative effects of corporate influence in government and how that can directly contribute to wealth inequality. But I'm also sure that a majority of people protesting didn't know that, and that they were more concerned with absolving themselves of personal responsibility so as to point the finger at the man. Now,
okay, it's not personal responsibility. You cannot personal responsibility your way out of predatory home loans, John. I know he's too young to understand like what caused that kind of recession. It was banks taking loans, making them risky, betting on them, moving them around and shuffling them until foreclosure when the interest rates were too high for people to afford because they were technically legal but incredibly unethical, and then we changed that. How are people supposed to avoid that with personal responsibility, John? How in the world are people supposed to avoid that? How are people supposed to avoid the powers that be choosing to go to war in the Middle East for oil money because someone wants to make money via Halliburton? How are we supposed to avoid that? What personal responsibility can I take that would keep that from occurring? Maybe voting against that person who did lose the election, but that's okay. 2000. He still thinks George W. Bush probably deserved to win. But I mean, what the fuck, man? There are so many things that are out of control for the fucking person's personal responsibility. What personal responsibility are descendants of slaves supposed to have that would keep them from experiencing the negative effects of descending from slaves in this country? I don't know what you want them to do. Like, you have especially if you look at the South and stuff like that. Along the line, you could see these bands where Mississippi, Louisiana, along the Mississippi River, and then this band across the South where black people live. Surprise, big plantation areas in high black population areas still, from a historical perspective. Wow, that's so fucking surprising. How are you supposed to, how are you supposed to tell them to take personal responsibility when as recently as like the 80s, there were violent mobs of white people preventing them from voting, preventing them from getting jobs, not hiring them in white areas. Like, what do you want? This isn't a free market. That is a market that specifically targets and blacklists people, for lack of a better term, blacklist people because of their skin color. Like, what do you want? What do you want that person to bootstraps? It just doesn't make any fucking sense. Doesn't make any fucking sense. Oh God, I see that you timed him out, but oh my God, but Jake, my bootstraps. The soft bigotry of low expectations by a smooth brain like HSE tester. Very, very terrible take. So the idea here is that black people can do the same thing white people can do. Yes, we agree. The difference is acknowledging the obstacles that are in front of a black person as opposed to a white person in the United States. Now, can a black person and a white person have very similar lives? Of course. Can they face much of the same challenges? Of course. You can both face poverty. You can both face poor school districts. You can both face high crime. You can both face drug laws that target your community. Like, of course. But there's one thing you can't do, and that's change the color of your skin. And if someone is prejudicial against the color of that skin, that's just a hurdle you're never going to be able to get over, no matter what bootstrapsy things you do. It's just how prejudice works. It'd be the same thing as if people stopped hiring Christians or something like that. Like, it's not a thing that's happened. It's not a thing that's going to happen. It's just like you can't do that kind of thing. Now, you could, of course, lie and say that you're not a Christian. You can't lie about your skin color. So there's another thing. Like, you literally wear this on your skin. HOAs are a great example of racist things. Redlining, obviously. Gerrymandering, obviously. I mean, there's so many things that just go into this. And if you don't believe that systemic racism is a thing, it's one of two reasons. Number one, this is most likely. Number one, you're genuinely ignorant of it, and not in a pejorative way. I just mean you probably haven't learned about it, and that's totally fine. That's understandable. It doesn't, not every place teaches that kind of thing. Number two, you do know about it, but you're a racist. And thus you don't care. So, I mean, you have to either admit that you don't know a thing, which is scary sometimes for people, and that's fine. Like, you don't have to know about a thing. Or you have to admit that you do know and you just don't give a shit, which makes you minimum complicit in the racism that these people face. So
now, think about what else happened during roughly the same time period. All of the corporate media outlets, all of the sudden, started focusing on whiteness and critical race theory and gender identity and all of the other adjacent concepts contained under the woke umbrella. The point being that Occupy Wall Street transformed into the woke resistance, and it was done deliberately to subvert and distract what was otherwise a relatively legitimate movement of people from the left, and it was funded and manufactured by the media who works alongside the major corporations that the left was challenging.
This is a lefty stream or a righty stream, not Speedway. How dare you? Of what I just said out loud, how would you interpret that as anything other than what it is? It's interesting to me. Very interesting. So I want to push John Doyle into the lockers. So anyway, John Doyle was a child when the Wall Street thing was happening. Like a little baby, a literal, like he wasn't even in puberty yet. I don't know what he thinks. This is not how it worked. A lot of the woke stuff was more of a, not out of the Wall Street thing. It was more of a movement towards more equity as the, it was a response to the Bush years, really. The hyper-Christianization of politics, a lot of the war, a lot of the propaganda, the effective propaganda around the whole Obama hope thing. Like, a lot of people felt really energized about, like, you know what, maybe we can be decent to one another. Maybe we can try to be a little bit better to each other. And there's this strange phenomenon that happens with right-leaning people, and I don't understand it. And maybe a right-leaning person in chat can discuss it without losing their fucking minds, which is probably unlikely. But not that I just helped that situation, but I mean, seriously, every single time you bring this stuff up, they go, no. They can't have a reasonable discussion. It's super weird. When I can sit here and listen to your fucking critical race theory, you can't listen to, like, hey, here's what systemic racism is, right? So I don't know, it's just weird. I'm wondering what the rub is. Like, does it bother right-wingers that we talk about white supremacy, or we talk about colonialization, or we talk about empire building, or we talk about critical race theory, we talk about wokeness, we talk about gender theory, we talk about these things? Why can't you discuss those things? What is wrong with it? You can disagree, but what's the problem with discussing it? Like, in a genuine way. Not one where you put up walls and go, no, there's only two genders. Why can't you steel man the position and then argue against it? Right? I don't see that happening. What I see is them conflating sex and gender. When that is explained, they just go, nuh-uh, and then they do it over again. That's the best example of anyone on the right being calm about gender theory, specifically in that case. When you talk about, and you've seen me debate these people before online in front of you, when you have someone talk about systemic racism, I go, okay, you believe in systemic racism? Yeah, I don't think it's a thing now, but I agree that systemic racism was a thing. Okay, here's an example of systemic racism today. Yeah, but not like that. I don't believe in that systemic racism, where you say something like property value or property taxes are directly tied to school funding. So obviously, if only in 1968 was the first time you could get reasonable home loans as a Black American after the Civil Rights Act, that's the first time you can get a home loan. Like, how do you not understand that the property taxes being tied to school funding could negatively affect the Black community? Like it's obviously systemic. That's not necessarily a pointed racist thing. Not necessarily. It started that way, but it's not necessarily now. But it is adversely affecting one specific minority group. How do you not understand that? We talked about this recently on the Hannah and Jake show. There's a big problem when you can't anthropomorphize systems for Republicans, or not really Republicans, conservatives in general. They have a hard time with concepts that don't have agency behind them. And I'm wondering why you can't just calm down and be walked through that sort of thing. Even if you disagree at the end, what's the point of being upsetty spaghetti when really we could just have a conversation about it? They get so fucking emotional when you bring up the idea of like, yeah, you could be whatever gender you want to be. You can live your life however you decide. It's totally okay. I don't understand the cognitive dissonance that a right-wing person has between their belief in bodily autonomy and freedom and then whatever hang-up they have about gender identity. These should fit together like a puzzle piece. Should be perfectly congruent with your belief system. If you believe in ultimate freedom for the individual, then you should believe in gender identity, and you should believe in the ability for someone to be trans. I mean, like, it just doesn't make any fucking sense. Non-binary. It's literally genuinely the most confusing issue on the right is these little pockets of like your belief system, according to you, should entirely line up with that if you're for freedom. And this is very strange. Very, very strange. I know the answers to most of those questions. I'm just wondering if a right-winger would be honest about those answers.
And the left hasn't noticed because they are largely spiritually invested into these causes, and so they literally are unable to recognize the sleight of hand that was orchestrated by these corporations intentionally to exploit their energy to work towards their own interests. Because
okay, so I assume he's talking about the ties to corporate wokeness at this point. I'm sorry I have to pause so often. So corporate wokeness is a function of the free market, not a function of them trying to manipulate people. I mean, it is, but it isn't, right? At least not in the way that you're putting it. They're trying to manipulate you to buy their products, not manipulate you to have a certain political position, right? The free market doesn't give a shit. Walmart doesn't care what your political position is unless that political position runs in direct opposition of what Walmart's goal is, and that's to make a lot of money. So you don't see Walmart going like, yeah, let's be socialist, but you do see them say, hey, I'm gonna put the LGBTQ flag up. You know what I'm saying? Like they're willing to go a certain length. They're willing to say BLM. They're willing to say this and that, but they're not willing to say, hey, by the way, capitalism is pretty fucked up, isn't it? We should treat our workers better. No, of course not, because that's not how that works. And I don't know why John thinks that's how it works. At least that's what he's communicating right now is how he thinks that works. Maybe he doesn't believe that if I would have explained it to him in that way. But I just do not understand how John Doyle can sit there with his stupid fucking hat in a stupid fucking suit, pretend to be this really aggro big boy thing when he's really just got little boy panties on, and stand there and tell you these falsities about a reality he didn't exist in. He was a little boy when this happened. He does not have the cognitive function to understand these things. He did not live it. Like you can't talk about a moral zeitgeist like this without really experiencing it. Like, you just weren't there. The conversations around Occupy Wall Street did not have anything to do with gender identity, really. What they had to do with is the exploitation of corporations exploiting the common people, like literally betting their fucking houses on a market that is on the whims of how people feel. That's what the stock market is. How do you feel? That's what Occupy Wall Street was about. Speculation should not determine whether or not I'm homeless. That was what that was about. It wasn't about this fucking other shit that you pretend it's about.
Woke resistance fundamentally erodes all semblance of country until all that we have in common
No, he didn't serve in the army.
is that we're consumers. Small businesses die, big businesses grow, richer, and it just continues. Like, they have used their power to create a society that breeds mental illness, and they have now weaponized that mental illness to where it is now self-propagating and self-sustaining. And that's why we as the right need to abandon this talk of socialism. And I know that's rich coming from the heck off commie guy, but what's coming is not socialism. America will never be a socialist country. Yeah, that's true. That's cool. Right? But the truth is that it's going to be something much worse than socialism, because we all know what socialism is. We're ready for it. But what's really on the way is much more sinister and pernicious than socialism.
What's that?
Because we won't even realize it so long as we're not standing in line for government supplies or having our speech suppressed by government organizations.
No one wants to suppress your speech, John! Oh my God, dude. Literally no one wants to suppress your speech. Nobody. There are far hardcore leftists in my chat, in my fan base. Like I have talked to some people that are crazy far left. No one wants to suppress your fucking speech. What they want, like, a government official cannot, like a teacher or a fucking your boss at someplace, like you have certain civil rights protections. You can say the T slur all day long in the bar. I don't care. If you're hanging out in a bar, John, that's great. Now, there are social costs to being a certain way. You are conflating social cost with the government mandating speech. I do not want you, John Doyle, to be arrested for saying the T slur in a bar. However, if someone takes a video of you saying the T slur in a bar and you happen to have some corporate job and that corporate job decides that you are no longer a viable asset for them due to the problematic nature of your behavior, then they can get rid of you. That's just the fucking free market, John. That is not the same thing as the government putting you in a fucking gulag for being a bigot, which I disagree with. I don't think they should be able to put you in there. No leftist really does. Most leftists are not for mass incarceration of people. Most leftists are not for incarceration kind of at all. What I would rather happen is if you had that situation happen, let the free market do what it does. If it does that, then, I mean, you played that game and you lost. That's okay. That's something you could do. But what I don't want is for you to be homeless in that situation. I still want you to have access to healthcare. I still want you to have access to shelter, food, water, internet. You can go get an education. And what I really want you to do is learn a lesson from that kind of thing. It turns out that people don't want to deal with your bigotry. What they want to deal with is they just want to fucking coexist everywhere. And they want to watch sports. They want to play video games. They want to fuck. They want to watch porn. They want to eat food. They want to hang out with their families. And they don't want to work 40 to 80 hours a week. They just want to fucking chill, man. And we are in the point where we are capable of doing a lot of those things. It's not going to be perfect. We're still going to have strife. We're still going to have poor people. We're still going to have stuff. But we can have a better life. And the fact that all your idea of a better life is, no, you can't be what you want. No, you have to be Christian. You have to believe in Jesus. No. You can't tell me that I'm a bad person when I'm being a bad person. Fuck you, John. You're losing. You lost. It's just how it's going to be. It's just how it's going to be. Forever. You have lost. This right here, this facade of confidence and this Make America Great Again bullshit, 2 years from now, are you even going to be on YouTube, John? Like, what is happening here? What is happening here? Your entire platform is, I don't want a subset of people to be happy because they make me uncomfortable. That's it. That's the problem you have. That is not a tenable or viable political position to have in the long term, according to every historical record of humanity. Always. We have never ended up further right than we are than we were before. Ever. For the long term. It maybe in a short term, we got a little bit of oh look, we did a little fascism. And then we fucking move left. Look at what happened in World War II. Hard fascism for like almost 20 years. Hard fascism. Got harder and harder. And then what happened? All those countries, Germany, Austria, all those countries in that area, Poland, France, Italy. Now what? What was the response to World War II and hyper-fascism? Socialism. They now have access to healthcare. They're very happy. Then I have access to paternity and maternity leave, childcare. A lot of them have like housing. A lot of them are taking in refugees. A lot of them have much broader and less strict drug laws than we do over here. Like you said something about psychedelics being bad earlier. Like psychedelics are helping the troops. Do you not like the troops? Psychedelics, specifically psilocybin, the chemical inside magic mushrooms that has not only helped smoking cessation. Your boy Jordan Peterson, who you have a sticker of right here, he agrees with me about psilocybin. You should too. That the psychosomatic or the not the psychosomatic the hallucinogenic chemical within magic mushrooms helps the people with PTSD, which is largely being tested upon soldiers. So I mean, like these are types of things that you should just like stop fucking fighting. Like you're gonna lose these arguments. We're gonna have things in our homes. I'm gonna be able to do fucking magic mushrooms soon, legally, like federally, probably within 20 years. Maybe less. I don't know. Weed, definitely going to be federally legalized soon. I wouldn't be surprised if it was during this. That guy, Brand, thanks so much for the 15 months. I got a cough. Like this is just absolutely ridiculous. It's all these pretend you're welcome, Lord and Mister. Cascadia, thanks for the Polish lost their country before World War II when the Nazi Soviets took half. Otherwise, yes, also gonna no, the response to World War II. The response, which is to go more left. Everyone went more left. Not the response to being attacked in World War II. I mean, the NHS exists because of World War II. We always move left. We just always do. And we always will, because that's the correct way to move. Like, is there eventually going to be a wall we can't get over? I don't know. But I mean, like, as long as it's expanding people's personal freedoms, limiting the amount of time they have to be productive insofar as labor is concerned, and ensuring a certain quality of life, you're always going to move to the left. Always. Because that's what people want. We want to be who we are, as happily as possible, working as little as we can. I mean, am I wrong? And by working as little as we can, I don't mean working on things that you're passionate about. I mean being part of the gears that turn the country. You know what I'm saying? Like that. Like you don't want to be just labor for labor's sake. If you can find something you're passionate about, working isn't really a thing because you know the sort of the if you love your job, you never work a day in your life sort of shit. So like if you have passion for your job, that's totally different. But Jake, that sounds like communism. Yeah, we're headed towards it. I don't know what to tell you. I'm not a communist, but I'll gladly be there. Like. Come on, North Korea isn't moving to the left. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I'm not, again. I don't think you're listening. If you typed those words to me, keyboard Turner overdrive. If you typed those words to me, and you're like, North Korea isn't moving left. And after I just said, what was the response that Europe had to World War II when they went hard left for hard right for a little bit? And you didn't synthesize the information, that's on you, not on me. Everybody else understands what I'm talking about. Hunter, thanks for following. When we went through the Industrial Revolution, did it have the same irritating kickback of a weekend? I didn't know this was a question. Monologue. Thanks for following. When we went through the Industrial Revolution, asked Argonian Bum, did it have the same irritating kickback of we can't afford this as the Green New Deal, or even comparing that to the original New Deal? So the Industrial Revolution, did we have kickback? Oh yeah, there was huge kickback on all that. I mean, the reason the Industrial Revolution was, I mean, it was good and bad, obviously, right? Because the Industrial Revolution introduced, incredible upgrades in productivity for countries at the time. It was before we had industry, right? But once you had industry, then you had labor, and labor doing things that labor had never done before, working in machinery and these lines, and then you had people like Henry Ford trying to create these little communities where they didn't make American dollars, they made Henry Ford scrip, and they had to live in Ford communities and buy Ford and live, breathe, and die Ford. I mean like literally these little communes happened where all they would do is be part of the corporate machine. Daylight Reckoning, thanks for 13 months. So out of that sparked a lot of labor riots. They used to have situations. I mean, you've seen stuff where you played Red Dead Redemption before or something, or just engaged in anything that happens, in the West before we kind of like have all 50 states. There's a lot of during that time we have the Industrial Revolution happening the whole time, right? And during the Industrial Revolution, you would have like bands of fucking mercenaries literally forcing people to work in mines for borderline slave wages, right? I mean, and then if they started to do stuff, they'd have strike busting where they'd beat people up. The mob used to be big into strike busting, but then they teamed up with the Teamsters, and then they started doing other stuff. Like there's so much labor conflict. If you go to Flint, Michigan, you can still, if you go by some factories, you can still see panes of glass that were broken out by bricks thrown during labor riots. I come from Michigan. We are probably the home outside of New York City. We are probably the home of labor disputes, and the reason like unions are so strong is because of a lot of the auto workers from Michigan, and that's spreading out throughout the country. So yeah, we had a lot of growing pains, and there's a lot of problems that had to do with a lot of things there. So if anybody ever wants to talk about the Ford Society, definitely sucked. But it's Pinkerton detectives as well who are still in operation. Yep. I mean, there's just lots of fucking problems. Working class people have been ripped off forever, and this is the problem, right? This is the rub, is the idea that working class people, who are most people, right? Most people are working class. I'm doing well, and thanks to your guys' support, right? But I still have to come here and do this. This is not a thing I take for granted, and it's something that like if I stop appealing to you for some reason, which is fine, you can do that. That's fine. But if I stop massively being unappealing to a bunch of you, then I lose my job, right? And so like even that is a tentative sort of situation where while I love this job and I want to do it forever and ever, and I don't ever want to stop. Hopefully I don't have to. It's the only thing I'm really fucking good at besides like, I don't know, restaurants or something. But my body is fucking shattered at this point. Like the fact that I'm not paycheck to paycheck, but I'm a few paychecks out from being destroyed if something really bad happened. That shouldn't be a thing. And I have a decent, I'm like middle class, right? I'm like one of the few people to the left that are middle class. And there's a lot of people, and I've been very working class for a very long time. Before the internet thing worked out, I had 10 cents in my fucking bank account, or 27 cents specifically. This is just, it's not how it should be. There shouldn't be a situation where your productivity is tied to your ability to be existent. That's not okay. We need to move past. This shit. I've got a radiologist appointment to look at my fucked up ankles. Working class has shattered me. Oh yeah, no. My ankles are both fucked. They're both arthritic. Because I was born a certain way. I was born with my ankles in like this, and they had to break them and reattach everything. They're both arthritic and terrible. That mail job that I took last year. I have an injury from that still, like a very severe one. My whole my back is really fucked up, and my whole left leg, starting in my like ass, and it works all the way down to my calf. I have nerve damage the whole way down. Like, and by the way, like I said, I make a decent amount of money. I can't go to the hospital for that. I can't afford it. It'd be thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars. It'd probably be close to $100,000 for me to get shit fixed. I don't have that kind of money. That's fucking nuts. Anyway. Was the mail job last year? That went quick. Well, it was still 2020. February of 2020 is when I started. So almost a year.
But we will be waiting in line for supplies from a handful of mega corporations that have lobbied the government to destroy small businesses, and we will be having our speech suppressed by big tech companies, private tech companies, who now control the flow of information in a way that dictators of days past could only have wet dreams about. Riddle me this. How is America going to become a socialist country when Twitter and Amazon have more power than the government does? Good luck with that.
Bobberman, thanks for following. I don't know how John can hold this in his head and then also get upset when we say we should tax these people more. I don't like Google, but don't make them pay any taxes. What? John? I don't understand. I do not understand.
But here's the good news. This is why the future of the left is ultimately doomed. And of course, we knew that it was going to get worse before it could get better, but we will ultimately win because while the coalition that has power on the left is radical, and while they're seemingly gaining more power, they're ultimately unsustainable. And the reason for that is very simply that no coalition of people who embrace vice, who embrace degeneracy, who reject God, who have no self-control or discipline, who practice disgusting lifestyles, who are mentally ill and sick, no coalition like that could ever be sustainable.
So he's talking about the LGBT community. That's it, pretty much. Just like that and not being religious. So that's the type of person that John Doyle is. Look at it. Did you just hear that? Did you hear what he said out loud? Just, degenerate lifestyles. Being who you are is your degenerate lifestyle. Be whoever you are. You hear people like John Doyle say this, he has no fucking power, okay? Go to his Subway, make him make you sandwiches, and then bitch about how he did a bad job. Like, I mean, he's just a fucking terrible person. All my fellow degenerates rise up. That's what I'm talking about. Oh, it'll never work. Are you fucking kidding me? You're never going to be able to push back against people's fucking innate existence. It doesn't work. What's John's fucking fix to trans people? Fix. There isn't one. John would say specifically, we'll stop teaching kids that you can be whatever gender you want to be. Okay, that doesn't stop trans people existing. That just makes sad trans people. Like, what? Trans people still exist. It's okay. They are things. They are people who happen. Telling them they can't be what they are is only going to make them upset. Like, it's not going to fucking make them not things. It's like so stupid. It's like, it just, I don't know. It ties into his religious beliefs, obviously. Like, he thinks it's a choice, and he's just dumb-brained on it. Never thought someone would use, I have the power of God and anime on my side as a serious argument. Oh, yeah. I was never taught about trans shit. I didn't even remotely consider it until I was 19. Exactly. A lot of people don't. A lot of people are unhappy and they don't know why, and it has to do with their sexuality, their gender, their maybe they don't know that they have, like, I don't know, just awareness of all the things that we could go through as human beings is the idea of like understanding that we're all valid in whatever way that manifests. Like, maybe you don't realize you're autistic and you're like, why don't people understand what I'm saying, or why don't I understand what they're saying, or why do people think I'm being harsh, like or why do, you know, and it could just be something on the spectrum, or it could be maybe you have a learning disability like dyslexia, right? And you don't understand why people can read, and like until someone tells you what dyslexia is, you're not going to be able to understand what it is because you think that's just how people see, right? And you feel bad about yourself. This happens all the time. Self-esteem is a real thing, and I don't know why we try to avoid it. Like, there's nothing unmanly or fucking low T about understanding that other people have lived experiences. Like, what the fuck, man? Like this guy is just like, you know what? Everybody should be just absolutely well-adjusted and blah, 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 blah. And like, as a guy who is pretty well-adjusted myself, like I've had problems. Everybody's had problems in their life. I have lots of daddy issues. He was a verbally abusive alcoholic fella. My mom is an alcoholic. She's not really abusive. She was just more of a enably. At her worst, she's an enabler. At her best, she's just a very loving parent who did her best. As an undereducated person who got swept up in a relationship with a shitty guy. I mean, like I'm a child of divorce. I did fine. Like when I was a kid, we had money. After I graduated, I was in abject poverty for many, many years. I have health issues tied specifically to my ankles, which doesn't allow me to work out, which makes me gain weight, which causes some other problems. Like I don't have very many medical problems. I have a few. I have certain social hangups. Some don't. I don't know. I've had very, very nice relationships with women. I've had very bad relationships with women. I've had I don't know. I mean, just, you live a life, right? And it's just one of those things where it's like, I don't expect, just because I went through some shit doesn't mean I expect you to deal with anything I've dealt with the same way. Now, that didn't used to be the case. I used to be very confused why people couldn't just fucking like just cope, bro. Just fucking cope. Like why you gotta be freaking out or whatever I would say, right? And it just takes time to understand that, like, well, it depends on someone's lived experience. Maybe you have anxiety. That's not something you can help. That's not something you can just cope through. Maybe you have depression. It's not something you can cope through. Maybe you have something else going on. I don't know what the fuck's going on with you. And all it takes is a little bit of introspection. That's all it takes. Is you go, well, I don't know how that feels. And then ask someone how it feels. Like, what does dysphoria feel like? What does it feel like every day? It feels like wearing a really heavy coat that you can't take off. Like, I am wrong. This is so obvious, honestly. My parents are straight, and I'm bi because ass is ass, not because my parents. It's not complicated. Exactly. I don't know. It's just like fucking get... I just don't understand how people are like John Doyle. He just gets very uncomfortable when you're like, have you considered that maybe that, like, this facade that you're putting, and this is a facade. This is an entire facade. And I don't know about you, but I imagine you don't consider me someone that puts on a facade very often. I don't think that I come across as disingenuous, and I think you understand that. I just don't. I don't understand not being honest. And I think he thinks he's being honest. This is the thing. I don't understand not getting to honesty at some point. Because even at my worst, I was never as bad as John Doyle. When I was his age, I used to share his beliefs. Now I'm a 30-year-old bisexual drag queen. Fingers crossed he comes at least halfway like me. I mean, again, your sexuality or gender aside, like sad as it is, John Doyle is valid in whatever he's got going on that's innate to him. That's totally fine, and it's understandable. I don't know how to communicate this to John because he won't listen to me in good faith, but like, and most Republicans and MAGA hat wearing people don't want to listen in good faith, but like, I don't care if you are a conservative. I care why you're a conservative, right? Like, you can be a conservative. You can be like, you know what? I don't think we should spend a lot of money. Okay, why? Right? Now we can get to the questions, right? But if you say, like, I think black people are inherently lazy, well, then I have a fucking problem with you, right? Like, you're, first of all, you're racist, and second of all, you're clearly just ignorant of, like, reality, right? So, like I need to engage in that sort of thing. I need to understand why you think that wearing a MAGA hat has something tied to your masculinity, because it clearly does. And when people call that out, you get very, very, very upset. I don't know. I think a lot of people on the right are scared of self-reflection. Like, really scared of self-reflection. And it's kind of sad.
It is impossible. So in the grand scheme of things, we will inevitably win so long as we remain sustainable through discipline and conviction. What do we say? A disciplined mind is an effective mind.
You're not disciplined, though. It's not discipline. You know what a disciplined mind would be like? Like, okay. If you have a prejudice against somebody, Is it more or less disciplined to allow that prejudice to leak out into the words that you say and the behaviors that you exhibit? Or is it more disciplined to reserve those thoughts to yourself and understand that another person living their life does not affect the way that you live? What is more disciplined? I mean, really? That's like level 1 thinking, dude. It took me 2 seconds. 2 seconds to give you an example of like what's a more disciplined way of thinking. I don't know. Pretty fucking strange. Pretty fucking strange, John.
And this isn't to say that we're winning now, but that they will eventually implode or be unable to manage the coalition that they've created. They're going to eat each other. I gave a very impromptu speech at the state capitol in Lansing last week, and I said this, which I stand by 100%. I said that they're riding a wave of wealth and institutional power. They have established the infrastructure, they have control over it, they have the organization and the resources and the wealth and the manpower to actualize their will upon the rest of us, but that will inexorably come crashing down. The house of cards will inexorably collapse, and when that happens, the boys are going to be there waiting. It's me and you, big guy. We will by that point have tens of thousands, if not more, of young men who are smart, who are determined, who have
tens of thousands. I don't know who does he think is in charge? This There's a reason that left-wing politics are popular. And the reason he thinks that like all the money is in left-wing people who have money, who that have high profile, tend to be educated. And when you tend to be educated, you tend to be less prejudicial because you went to college, you met people, you traveled a bit, you learned a new language, you experienced other life, and not only that, your education probably taught you a little bit more perspective about the way that you live your life and the way that the life of other people is lived, and the way that the country grows and the way that the world is. Like, it's inevitable that education will lead you to likely be at least a little less prejudicial. And as that happens, and as it becomes more of the zeitgeist, and as everybody has, these little devices, and we can all have a certain size of a platform, like, how are you surprised that 8 million new voters that turned 18 this year, how are you surprised that those people don't like Donald Trump? When Donald Trump is telling them, and people like you are telling them, you can't be who you are, you have to live a certain way, you dye your hair, you're a fucking pussy. Like these kids don't give a fuck about that. Are you kidding me? Zoomers are gonna fucking change the world. The boomers are dying, the greatest generation is dying, the silent generation is dying, okay? As they die out of natural causes, because this is how people work, as they die out, what's going to happen is you're going to have a wave of millennials that come in, and we're going to do an okay job. We're going to do an okay job in the House and the Senate and stuff like that, because that's going to be the next big wave of people that are in charge. But fellow millennials aren't necessarily perfect, obviously. A lot of them, a lot of us still have certain hang-ups that I wish weren't things. I'm ahead of the curve in a lot of the social areas for sure, because of you guys, because I learned a lot from you guys. And then after that, the Zoomers are going to come in, and you're going to have a whole world where John Doyle is extinct at that point. Like, and I don't mean like go kill John Doyle. I mean like he doesn't have a viable political opinion, and John Doyle will likely change his opinion. Hopefully he changes his opinion. If not, he's going to be a very lonely fella, and that's okay. And he's going to have like sort of this little echo chamber that he surrounds himself in, because he keeps blocking people like me on Twitter anytime we beat him in a debate. And that's like, live your life. You know what I'm saying? It's just it just doesn't make any sense. I'm sorry, did this guy just use the word tactical? What a tactical move. Block me, then answer, and move on like I'm asking a crazy question. Who gives you the right to talk to any person? Let alone people I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Do we have a chud in chat? Later, losers. I'm leaving. What was your question? It was probably something stupid. You didn't get blocked. Oh, it was because you're doing the soft bigotry of low expectations. HSE tester. It's just because you're just really stupid. I don't know if you're still here. You probably left because you're a bitch. But that's a really, really stupid take. That's all. If you want to bring anything else to the table, that's fine. I would absolutely be happy to talk to you about that, but yeah, you brought a low IQ take, man. I don't tell you. See you on the battlefield. Are you fucking kidding me? Is this guy a fucking proud boy? What a fucking loser, man. See you on the battlefield, bro. You're not even wearing pants, and while you were timed out, you probably jacked off. Like, let's be real. You're on the internet. You were playing video games or some shit. Like, come on. In the arena of battle, blood sports. Fucking, ugh.
Conviction, who are strong, who are disciplined, and who know God, and we will be occupying positions of power all throughout the country, whether that's in government, business, whatever. And you won't know who we are. We can't all be outspoken, because if we do, we don't want to put the target on our back. We don't want to risk losing those positions. Obviously, some people have to be outspoken. That's my job, for example. I'll get the death threats, don't worry. But it's actually strategically advantageous.
Does John get death threats? Do people care about John enough to give them death threats? I just don't know about this whole Christian nationalism thing, man. I'm trying to here we go. This is what I was looking for. Let me show you. Open image in new tab. Okay, let's check out this image, chat. Okay, so if we oh crap. Then I think I gotta come down here a little bit. No, I gotta go up. Hold on, I'll find it. I just had to get some information for you. Oh boy, you really screwed the pooch there, Jakey Poo. Really screwed the pooch. Are you fucking serious, Jake? Oh shit, I lost it. All right, hold on, one mo. There it is. Okay. I also wanted. Tell you what, I'll put this up here too. Slurp. Boink. Okay, now we can do this. So now we have a key. Okay, I believe you. Okay, I believe you. You like that song? Me too. Cool. So, Protestantism, Catholicism, Christian, non-specified, Mormonism, Jewish, other, none, no answer. I gotta ask you a question, chat. As time goes on, what do you see the trend being? As time goes on, what trend do you see? It seems to me that none, other, and no answer are a growing. It also seems to me what else is growing is people just going, I'm a Christian, but meh. I guess I'm a little bit of I'm not one of these Catholics. I'm not a Protestant. I'm just a Christian, I guess. This is a lot of people. A lot of people that are about to be orange. I'm just tossing that out there. Look. This is just what happens over time. John, I got to tell you, about 20% of the United States, about 25%, about a quarter of it, is not religious. That's growing every what, 4 years? Look at this. Just from 2010. Shit, look at 1955. Was there any? There was no atheist in 1950, but in 1955, starting to become atheists. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm just, and people that don't want to answer. I mean, if you don't want to answer, you're probably an apostate. Let's be real. Are you embarrassed to say that you're an atheist? I've never met that. Never met that person. Atheists are like vegans. We can't help it. We can't help it. We just want to tell you that your God's not real, loser. God not real, dum-dum. We're very good at feeling superior to you. Because we are. 24% of people in the United States don't have a religion. 24%. Wild stuff. You're the most irreligious state? Vermont. You know the most religious state? Alabama. Anyway, let's finish this.
Ages for us to keep it to ourselves for the most part and become as epic and influential and wealthy and well-connected as possible. And then when the time comes, flip the switch. Can you imagine the potential of tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of young men like that? That's what it would take to take our country back.
Young men.
The time has come. Execute Order 1776. You leave your executive office. You go purge the entire critical race theory department of your company. They're panicking. Master Skywalker, there are too many of them. What are we going to do? And then instead of a lightsaber, you just say, you're fired. Kind of a consumer moment, relax, but still, the ethos of the sentiment remains true, which is that we're going to win in the end, but only.
So his plan is, and this is not his LARPing, John Doyle's master plan is, well, we'll just be Republican business owners and then all at the same time agree, nope, you get out of here, lefties. How's that going to legally work? I don't know about that one, buddy. I don't know about that one, bud.
Only if we make ourselves
become more epic or John will fire you. True.
Better. We reach our potential and then we stand back and stand by. And we use our influence and our power to take back our culture, to take back our institutions, and to take back our country. Hey guys, if you like this video, leave it a...
That's so fucking cringy, dude. We gotta take back our culture. Shut the fuck up, John. God, he's a fucking cringe, dude. I can't fucking believe that. That is one day when I grow up, I'm gonna be a really rich boy, and then I'm gonna be like, back off, commies. God. Oh, John Doyle's going to date a cat boy within the calendar year of 2021. That's a fact. That is a fact.